How's it going, folks? It's Trevor, BFS Prophet here, and I'm here today because it felt like I could finally fish. Been a little busy and whatnot, but today, what I wanted to show you guys, as promised, is a new Clamber Hyper Micro. This reel, it's been out for a little while, but I figured I'd do a review for it anyways because I'm sure some of you are still curious about the reel, because I sure as heck was, and I finally got one. Been using it off and on. So far so good, but I'm gonna keep talking about more and more as to what I like, what I don't really like, and what I wish they would have improved or fixed upon. And that's what we're gonna do. So today, let's go fish, try it out a little bit, and see what happens today. So we're here on the water, as you can see, Lake Balboa. Springtime. Let's see if those fish are getting more active like we've been hoping for. It's been a while. And while we're doing that, we're going to test this reel out. I'm going to give you my thoughts and viewpoints and what could have been improved possibly, but we'll find out. And today, we're just going to be using my go-to little lure just for my general casting testing, and that is the Jackal High Shad, as you guys already know. So we're going to see how this thing casts, see how it performs, go from there, and let's try to catch a fish. And of course, as I always do, I always try to find a way to upgrade my reels. With this one, all I did is put some ceramic micro bearings on it just to kind of get that spool spinning a little bit more. It is definitely a little bit of a heavier spool stock than your other BFS reels per se, but it's around 7.2 grams with the spool without line on it. It's still pretty light, works great. I mean, overall it's a good caster, but definitely with the bearings, I would say it makes a big difference on this reel. Really does, because you can't really get any other spools for it. There's no aftermarket spools for this, but it's a good spool, it's a good reel. I'm liking it. Solid, definitely a good reel for beginners. And the reason why I say that is because with this particular reel, braking system, it's kind of like your mag tracks like you see on your Abu Garcia reels, very similar. But what's great about this reel, it has so many fine-tuned clicks on it, and as well, it's very strong. So if you're a beginner in the BFS world and you need a reel with a little bit more braking, a little more forgiveness, definitely say this is a good reel. I like it for that. You're just starting to start out and you're just kind of getting the hang of BFS bait casting, because it is a little different than your traditional bait cast. So there is a little bit of a hang to it. You gotta get the rhythm of it. And with the brakes, fortunately, since they're so strong, it's very forgiving. You can make those brakes really strong if you need to. And then when you get better, just jar them down. It's a constant braking system, so there's always constant brake. Nothing really dynamic about it like your FTB braking systems, but works great, solid. It's a tried and true system. I mean, Abu Garcia does it on all of their reels, so why not with them? So, as I was saying, pretty good reel overall. I like it. Can't really complain too much. It's a Chinese domestic reel. Like I said in my Arsenal video, it's probably the best Chinese domestic reel you can get, personally, just overall quality wise. But a couple things rather I should point out is little things, but every little bit makes a difference. For example, on the level wind, as you guys can see, it's just your standard typical level wind. I wish they would have made it tapered in the rear like how they do with the Shimano Aldebaran, things like that. That would have definitely helped with friction on the cast to kind of free it up a little bit. Also, I would say I wish the gear ratio was a little bit faster, at least in the 7.2 to 1 gear ratio, because this one is a 6.6 to 1. Not too bad, but a little slow in my opinion, especially for BFS. Because what I learned with BFS, when you're fishing with shallow spools, you want to be able to have the ability to pick up that line quickly while you're fighting that fish if there's any sort of slack, so you can gain on the fish and let them play. Other than that, it's great and it's been working good. And I also did hear from past Clamber Hyper Micros when these first came out, they had some issues with quality control. So you were getting pretty inconsistent reels here and there, I was hearing from other people. But with my reel, it came out great. Everything works good. The tolerances are good. Quality's good. Finishes overall pretty darn good. And I got the reel for 120 bucks. And I've told you guys before, I got this reel at Kuying Fishing. They have a great selection of your Chinese-based rods and reels and some lures as well. All really good prices. If you're definitely wanting to get into the BFS thing and you want to do it in a more affordable fashion, give that place a shot. Shipping's good, solid, never had any issues yet. But as of that, I'm just waiting to see if this company, Fishband as they call it, will come out with some new renditions of this reel, because it does have a lot of potential. The reel, what I think should have been improved, and my little personal remarks and my opinions on the reel, I will still have to safely say it's a pretty good beginner's reel if you want something a little more on the forgiving side. Granted, it can't cast the tiniest lures, like for say my Daiwa Alphas, my Airstream. We all know that thing just casts and casts and casts just about everything I have, and then some. This reel, I would say it's definitely more on the BFS slash power BFS. You could definitely use this for your heavier bass fishing. It would do really good at that. You can use heavier lines since the spool is a little deeper than most typical BFS reels. Not that it's really a fault, but for me, I just wish it was a little bit shallower. And also as well, I wish for the circumference of the spool, it's a 34 millimeter spool. And most of your reels, like your Shimano's and things like that, they're around the 32 millimeter mark and smaller. And of course the Daiwa was 28. And what I've learned with that type of circumference is the smaller it is, the better casting you get, the quicker rotational spinning you're gonna get, less rotational mass, less inertia. So it takes less to get things rolling and spinning. And hopefully Clamber will do something like that later in their next rendition, I hope. But besides that, I mean, for the money, overall quality of it, definitely better than your other Chinese reels that I've been seeing and using. So I'll give it a shot. But of course there's plenty of reels coming out, so let's see what they're gonna come out with next. And in terms of the rod, today I'm using, actually for the first time, this is called the Kuying Explorer rod right here. So it's a 6-foot ultralight bait casting rod, and it's probably the most affordable Kuying I've seen yet. With shipping is about 60 bucks, because most of your typical Kuying rods are between 80 to 120, just depends on the model. So they're definitely trying to get into that more budget friendly world, and honestly it's a good match for this reel. And besides that, it matches perfectly. It's gray, just like the frame is, the drag star, even the forenut for the reel seat hood matches with the carbon fiber handle, that same type of weave. So I honestly think this is a match made in heaven. It's a good rod. It's definitely versatile too. It says it has a line rating of 2 to 8 pound test. Honestly, I probably wouldn't go over 6 pound test with this rod personally, just my opinion. And for lure weight, it says 1 to 8 grams. I would have to say for the lure as well, I would probably go no more than about 5, maybe 6 grams pushing it. In terms of features with the Clamber Hyper Micro, it has your typical popular features like clicking drag, as you can hear. It has full clicky drag star, full clicking free spool adjustment, which I like. Works pretty good. It's very solid, very good positive clicks on it. The thumb bar is also pretty good too. Very solid thumb bar. Doesn't have any mush to it. It's always a big thing to check on reels. No mush, so that's always a good thing. It should hold up pretty well. Has an aluminum frame, so that's good. Has a nice solid aluminum frame. It's gonna help with the durability, things like that, longevity, so you're not gonna have any really much chance of causing deformities of the frame if you have this thing for a long time or you're fishing hard with it per se. And let's just give a look at the brake, shall we? Just so you guys can know. So, as you can see, it has that traditional mag track style Abu Garcia braking system. And it's a good tried and true braking system. It works. Very strong for this reel, I will have to say, like I've said before. And of course, you can see the little Roro ceramic micro bearing in there. And what's cool is it matches because it's red. And on top of it, with the typical mag tracks, if you look in the spool, there's actually a little aluminum ring right there to create that magnetic force rather. So it helps it to give it that constant braking. Very simple, it works. It's been around for years. Never had really any issues with me. It could be on the strong side, I will tell you that right now. And because it's constant braking, you're definitely gonna want to lighten the brakes for sure once you get better at casting this reel. But for your super beginners, it's great because they're so strong, you're not gonna backlash as much. But of course, when you get better, you're gonna wanna push your limits and get better and better at casting. And this is a good prerequisite reel, as I like to say, just to get in there and then hone in on your fishing skills and then upgrade to your nicer JDM reels, you know, like your Shimano's and Daiwas and what have you. And it's definitely a good gateway reel for sure. In terms of casting this reel, this rod and reel setup, it's a pretty good caster. Not as far as my, you know, my Corrados, my Alphases, the Aldebaran. I would definitely say it's decent casting. Definitely lose a few feet up with this reel. But I would have to say you could use lighter stuff if you had to. Just not going to be able to cast quite as far as with those other reels like I have. But overall, it's pretty good. It's pretty versatile. I would definitely say I would use anywhere no lighter than 1.5 grams in terms of lure weight and above, because once you get in that 1 gram range with this reel, it's going to have a bit of a tough time. And also 2 grand. It's pretty windy today. It's casting decent considering the wind too. But I would definitely say your JDM reels are going to cast a little bit better. But luckily with these bearings I put in it, it definitely helped a lot versus stock when I first used it. Definitely woke up the reel, like I always say. Gotta put those bearings, wake up that reel as much as you can. Because without that, I'd be limited. So I've been fishing for a while. It's pretty slow today. I only got a couple bites. Pretty tough out there. I didn't see really anyone else catching much either. I saw one guy catch a fish. That was about it. But I'm glad I was out here to fish with you guys, just to show you about the reel, what you think about it, or what I think about it rather. Pretty good reel. I wouldn't say it's the best, but for the money and what you get for the money, it's a good reel. So definitely gonna keep using this reel and seeing what it has to offer. If there's any surprises, I'll let you guys know. Until then, please subscribe, please ask questions, give me some comments of what you guys are wanting to know, what you want to see, or if you need any advice, just let me know, hit me up. Until then, you keep fishing, keep catching those fish. See you next time.